a girl, not even 15, when that candy man laid his eyes on me. He took me for a walk down by the riverside. I went just to be polite, but he asked me to be his bride. But I was just a girl, not even 15, so I said, oh candy man, it just ain't meant to be. Oh, that candy man, he took me by the hand and put his hands around my neck and pushed me to the ground. At first there was a fight, then we struggled no more, and I ran and left that man bleeding on the floor. Oh, candy man, his body never found. Oh, candy man, he never made a sound. Oh, candy man, his hands and feet were bound, and oh, that candy man, I put him in the ground. When I was 17, I did fall in love with a boy from New Orleans, seemed sent from up above. Oh, that candy man asked my mama for my hand. We set up shack in a steel side tracked on Highway 99. But that man got a drinking when I got one in the oven. I guess I got to thinking he was clean out of loving me. One night he staggered in, his breath soaked in gin, picked me up and threw me down with a sick smug little grin, saying I don't have no baby and I sure don't have no wife. Pinned me to the wall, I stabbed him with my knife. Oh, candy man, his body never found. Oh, candy man, he never made a sound. Oh, candy man, his hands and feet were bound, and oh, that candy man, I put him in the ground. I packed a bag and ran, left my trouble past behind to find a fresh new start, if not peace of mind. 3 years passed, maybe more. It was quite unexpected when a man knocked at my door. Pardon me, ma'am, I'm a detective. I wish I killed him too that day. They took my baby girl away and dragged me into town and locked me up. And in the twilight sun, at the square I was hung, my hunched frame darkly silhouetted. And as the rope at my throat stung, from the gallows to be flung for a crime I never regretted. I sang, oh candy man, his body never found. Oh candy man, he never made a sound. Oh candy man, his hands and feet were bound, and oh that candy man, I put him in the ground. Oh, 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 oh.
Legend from the chat. Hello, hello, hello. Here we go. Here we go. Where is the Justin? Is that the Justin? How's it going, Justin?
Hello.
Let me get the screen up. Let's the show has started. Huzzah! Yeah, we're on the wrong day and we're like a week late, but here we are. Huzzah! At least it wasn't a month.
Yes,
So in the second tweet,
it
I put
happens.
that we were
Shit
going to
happens.
talk about everything, everywhere, all at once, and Multiverse of Madness, and discuss multiverses in movies. And so
Oh,
that's like a general
yes.
subject, I think, at some point. But I wanted to let you know I tweeted that because I didn't get a chance to do
Okay.
that. Communication, chat. It's real important, you know?
Communication breakdown. I don't know why that's.
Communication breakdown. Oh, god damn it. That was the wrong beat, but yeah. Hey, this is episode number 30. Thank you, Raptor, for one, being a resident news hound, two, being the person who consistently reminds me to upload the episodes because I totally forget, and we almost lost an episode because of it. And three, for always watching and making those and like listing all the movies in the description or in your comment or whatever. Like that really helps me. One of these days I'll actually go through and put all that stuff into the actual bottom of the video. But I'm loath to work. Ugh, work. What a filthy word. What if I
Ew.
just wait until we're popular enough I can pay an intern a pittance, or I should say minimum wage, probably, whatever that is at the time.
This sounds very capitalist of you.
It sounds very much like I just don't want to do my goddamn work. Thanks, Raptor. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, so movies with Justin should now include Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's good because I totally forgot to add that to the list. I think why don't we just start off like with two classic films that we watched recently. One of them is The Lady from Shanghai, which I believe is an Orson Welles joint, right?
Joint.
So,
I love
what?
the idea of an Orson Welles movie being referred to as a joint.
Yeah, whatever.
But yes,
It's Spike Lee's fault for putting that at the beginning of his movies, and that's
Orson Welles directed, wrote, and starred in, I believe, Lady from Shanghai.
wow.
And I mean, was my second time watching it, and I can kind of see how it's a little slow. It's a little dull compared to some of his other stuff. But like, there are other things in this movie. There are elements in
Way
this
to
movie
describe
that
it.
just like uh, that are just so well done, and they're fucking amazing shots. Like the final shot, it's like the entire movie. Even if you don't like the entire movie, it's worth it to watch it just to get to the final sequence because he does a lot of stuff with mirrors and
The
with camera
ulterior,
work
yes.
that you don't really see in many other movies at that time and that like inspired other movies after the fact and whatnot. I mean, it's the kind of stuff they literally show in
So
books about film. You know what I
this,
mean?
by the way, meets the criteria for a vanity project. He wrote,
Yeah.
he directed, he produced, he starred. He did
Which is
all
funny
the.
because
He
I don't
basically did
think
all the major role parts,
I don't, if I don't,
the biggest parts, I should say.
I don't recall. I think that you mentioned that he was actually asked to do this. Like it wasn't something
Yeah.
he wanted to
Oh
do.
yeah, yeah. What was that
Like
piece? That was a piece of
it
trivia.
turns into a vanity project,
Okay, so
anyways.
Wells was okay. So according to Orson Welles, so we gotta take that as a grain of salt to begin with. Uh,
Nah, he
the
tells the truth all the time.
he's never
He was
lied once on camera
100%
ever, and he
honest.
didn't do a whole thesis film about lying on camera. Uh, the film grew out of an act of pure desperation. I'm reading this from the trivia on IMDb, so don't yell at me. Wells, whose Mercury Theater Company produced a miracle musical version of Around the World in 80 Days, which became a miracle, it got made, was in desperate need of money, but just before the Boston preview, mere hours before the show was due to open, the costumes had been impounded unless Wells could come up with $55,000 to pay outstanding debts. The performance would otherwise the performance had to be canceled. Stumbling upon a copy of If I Die Before I Wake, the novel upon which this film is based, Wells phoned Harry Cohn and instruct him to buy the rights to the novel, offering to write, direct, and star in the film so long as Cohn would send $55,000 to Boston within 2 hours. The money arrived, and the production went on as planned. He just wanted to get his fucking stage play done.
Yep.
He didn't give a fuck about
That's
this
what.
movie.
Yeah, that's what this movie started out as. Just like fucking. I need to get some money. I'll promise somebody to make a movie.
Right? Like
That's
shit.
how this movie began. Its life, and it turns out that it was actually pretty important for certain things, like specifically the camera work, the mirror shots, which are fucking incredible.
I mean, yeah,
It's a
there's a lot of really
it's a
incredible shots.
serviceable film noir. I'd say that. I think that's fair to say, and I think he also has a very good accent. He has a what's the not Cockney. What's the it's is it like an Irish accent? I think it's an Irish accent.
I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
terrible. And he's bad at it, and he should stop.
Terrible. It was good.
It's terrible. He's bad, and he should stop. It's a crime. It's a hate crime, the accent he's giving off in this movie. That being said, that's the only bad thing about this fucking movie. And if that's the only thing I can say is bad about this movie, that's pretty fucking good. It is a little slowly paced, right? But once again, considering the era it's made in, considering probably the struggles he had, making the movie or whatever, on top of the stage production, it makes sense. It's fine. I think I gave this a pretty good rating. I'm pretty sure this was a 2 thumbs up movie still. Like I rated it like almost 5 stars. But
Yep.
like that's 2 thumbs up territory. Oh yeah, no, we never really made an announcement on that. We're gonna stop really kind of doing like number ratings and just if we liked it, we liked it, really liked it, didn't like it, really didn't like it. Real simple shit, right? So
Yes.
yeah, I know we're not the first to do this system. You don't need to fucking remind me. Thank you. There's
It's
always
a
someone.
loving homage. Okay.
Yes.
But yes, I also give it 2 thumbs up.
Rita Hayworth is fucking incredible in this, by the way. She doesn't get enough credit, I would say, for this role, very specifically.
Yeah.
Next on the classics list of stuff we watched a Billy Wilder joint, starring François Ton and Anne Baxter and Eric von Stroheim. From 1935, Graves to Cairo. Do you remember anything about this movie? I kind of remember being so high I couldn't feel my toes at this point in the night.
This was a complicated film in terms of like the plot. And I don't remember much about it actually. That's all I remember more than anything is that the fucking plot is it feels like it's all over the place. It's
Okay, well then we'll not review that. We'll move on.
yeah.
Wait Until Dark. This was really cool. Actually know someone who played in one of the stage productions of this. It's pretty cool too. Wait Until Dark. You remember Wait Until Dark?
Yes, of course I remember it.
Okay, well of course. I don't know. You don't remember other things? Like what do you want me to do? I gotta make sure.
It's true.
This was a Terrence Young film. He's notable for doing Dr. No, Thunderball, and From Russia with Love. And one of my favorite weird westerns, Red Sun, starring Toshiro Mifune. I think it's Mifune, right? Yeah, Toshiro Mifune, Alain Delon, and Charles Bronson.
Was this movie based on a play, like a stage play?
What, Red Sun?
No, this movie.
Oh, this movie, Wait Until Dark, yes.
I thought so. The way it's shot feels very much like a stage play.
All in one set. I don't think there's the outside of the set and there's the inside of the set and there's a few cutaways, but like it's basically all on this one set. 99% of it.
When was it released again?
1967. Audrey Hepburn.
That would have been That would have been after Rear Window, which would explain some of the references to the Rear
Yes,
Window.
I would say that is correct.
It's. I feel like it's definitely trying to be a Hitchcock movie, Hitchcockian at least, and it does feel like a Hitchcock movie. It's a
Yeah,
good thing.
Audrey Hepburn is this blind woman, and I can't remember. Like, she ends up with like this doll with drugs in it or something,
Yes.
and these gangsters know that she has it somewhere in her house, and repeatedly just walk into her fucking house in an attempt to find it. There's some really genuinely tense scenes though, when
Yeah.
when she's trying to get away from these people that she can't see. You know,
And
like it's
they're putting on this whole play for her, they're being ableist, to put it that way. That's really what they're doing.
yeah, they're treating her like she's just stupid. Yeah,
Yeah,
when she's
they're
not.
being completely ableist and just acting like, oh, we can fool her because she can't see, so she won't be able to tell what we're doing.
Yeah, they think
So
she's
all we have to
dumb.
do
She's
is
just
tell
blind.
her
She's
a
not dumb.
story.
You
And
know.
it really reminds me of like the kind of stupid scams that people try to run even today.
Yeah.
Confidence scams, if you will. And
What
that's very much what happens to her.
what I like about it is she's not actually stupid. She's like a very capable heroine who saves herself. First of all,
Yep.
and she figures out what's happening before basically anyone else. She's got her first suspicion, and she's constantly trying to confirm her suspicion. When she finally figures it out, it's like the tension shifts. It's still intense, but it's from a different angle, and you get a different kind of intenseness. Because now you want her to not give away the fact that she knows that they're criminals trying to get at whatever.
Yeah.
This was really fucking good. I really, really, really enjoyed this. I didn't think I was going to like this. I thought, it was going to be more ableist than it was, but part of the ableism was in this case was that these people were just ignorant and treated her like she was stupid.
Basically, if you've seen or if you've been wanting to watch Don't Breathe or its terrible sequel, watch this instead.
Mm-hmm.
This is way better, and it's very similar concept.
It doesn't involve sexual assault.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to sit through that awful fucking scene in this movie. This movie is much better than that movie. Than either of those movies.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck
that movie so hard.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
2 thumbs up to
those Blu-rays went right on the going out pile, by the way. As soon as we were done watching them, I'm like, no, these are gone. These won't stay. I'm good. So yeah, next let's do Breakheart Pass. What did you think about Breakheart Pass?
I don't recall it.
That's the Charles Bronson film that was basically an Agatha Christie.
Oh, we just watched that one too.
I'm jumping around a bit. Sorry. Just to kind of, I don't know, reasons.
Honestly, kind of mediocre. I was hoping for more because I was thinking, hey, this is put out by Eureka, and if I like it, I'm going to get the Eureka release of it on Blu-ray. I don't think I will now because it's.
Yep. I meant to say, wait until
I'm wondering, like,
up. I forgot about
do
that.
I do this or do I do this? I don't know.
I mean,
It's not bad. It's just
that for me. That's a thumbs up, but it's not. It's only one thumbs up, and it's with a caveat. Yeah. It's a bit slow. It's an Agatha Christie style thriller on a train.
Yeah, think like Murder on the Orient Express, but with Charles Bronson, it's a western.
And
basically,
Charles Bronson doesn't save this movie. He doesn't make this movie interesting.
No,
this movie is a drag. It's just kind of a drag.
A White Buffalo is way fucking better.
Way better. Involves pretty much all the same elements minus the murder.
There was that one scene that you mentioned that was like 2 stunt guys who were. It was like their last film.
So the only thing notable about this movie, and the reason why you may want to watch this film, especially action film aficionados, is the stunt at the end of the movie, which is like a struggle on top of a train car, features Archie Moore and what's the other guy's name? He didn't have a name. Howard Curtis. Archie Moore and Howard Curtis, who are aging stuntman, 58 and 60-year-olds respectively. This was their final movie doing stunts. They doubled for the two main characters, and they recreated their stunts from from another movie. I think they recreated a specific like tussle essentially from one of their previous films, like earlier films they worked together on. But either way, this is an homage to the great train sequences of the past, using actors from the past. So that is the notable thing about this movie. It is worth seeing that last sequence at least.
That's pretty cool. Looked pretty damn real too for what
Yeah.
it was. There were other not stunts but like special effects moments in the film that didn't quite look as real as that scene did. That scene was very much, they put a lot more effort into that than they did into other scenes in the film. So and they like actually fucking they actually just not, I don't know if it got destroyed, but they ran a train off the rails at one point. There are some interesting elements of this, which is why it's like, yeah, yeah, thumbs up. You're muted.
Thumbs up, not too much thumbs up. It's pretty good, but like, will I ever watch it again? Probably not. It has no
Yeah,
rewatch value for me personally. Your mileage might vary out in the
yeah.
audience.
My
Um,
MMV.
Next, I have to use the restroom. So, what do you want? You talk about something. Figure it out.
Figure it out. Oh God, what did I watch? I'm trying to think of what I've watched this week or this past 2 weeks rather that I watched on my own. I haven't really had a lot of time for that. Um, I did watch the all the newer Spider-Man movies with the Sony Marvel uh, Spider-Man movies, and um, I enjoyed all of them. No Way Home, I think that was the last one, right? Was pretty damn good. In the Yeah, that was the one with where they brought everybody back, all these people from all these different movies, right? And I have to say, I liked Jamie Foxx in this way better than I liked him in the original Amazing Spider-Man 2. Um, I felt like in that he was probably held back by the studio in that one in some way, or like did a bad take and they stuck with the bad take or something. But like, yeah, it just no. It was probably more the dialogue that he was given in Amazing Spider-Man 2 that was god awful. But much better in No Way Home. Like he actually kind of feels like the character that he's supposed to be. It's like, holy shit, you actually did it. You got somebody who's a really good actor for this role. Then you gave them nothing to work with, and so they didn't do too well with the role. And then you brought them back for this multiverse movie, and they actually did really well when they had a competent filmmaker behind it.
I really had to pee. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave you hanging like that.
Well, I was just talking about the Spider-Man movies that I watched
Oh, good,
without
good,
you.
good, good.
Yeah.
Love that actually. Um,
Talking about No Way Home and how Jamie Foxx did much better in that than he did in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
wow. Speaking of Jamie Foxx, we watched a movie with Jamie Foxx this week.
We did
We watched
together.
Day Shift from 2022, which manages to be like a new age Blade in a way, and I kind of dug it a lot. So Jamie Foxx is also takes place in the same universe as Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, because they literally at the Vampire Hunter HQ they literally have a picture of Abraham Lincoln and his fucking axe from that movie on the wall. So y'all, it takes place in the same universe. It's about a vampire hunter in L.A. and he has a week to come up with cash to pay his kids' tuition and braces, or like his wife leaves with the kid or some shit like that. I can't remember what happens. And so he has to like he enlists that he gets help. He gets to like join the day shift, which is the shit shift for the L.A. bounty the L.A. County like vampire bounty hunter like people the vampire cops essentially. So
Vampire cops.
yeah, essentially. And so like he has to work the shit day job with Dave Franco, which is the worst part of the movie is Dave Franco. But Dave Franco, because he feels weird in a place and not in a fish out of water way, but in a doesn't fit in this movie kind of way, to me. But that being said, so Dave Franco is this like by the numbers adjustment auditor guy fit person in the desk jockey type deal. And this is his first like on the ground foot assignment, and he's basically policing Jamie Foxx with all the rules and regulations, and they're dramatic opposites, and they clash, and haha giggles funny, dramatic tension. It's a little generic at pieces, but this was directed by J.J. Perry, who is a very well-known stunt coordinator and choreographer, and the fucking stunt sequences, the action sequences of this movie are top-notch. Wide shots with full action sequences, fucking actual martial arts being filmed without it being a bazillion cuts, fucking car chases, all sorts of cool shit in this movie. This is worth watching. This was so cool. There's a moment in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, when Jamie Foxx hits a dude with a fucking machete, and then in the neck, and then spins the machete around his spine. I was like, I need this person. J.J. Perry needs to direct Blade. Period. The end.
Yeah.
Not going to, because I think they're already working on Blade, but with a director and everything. But give J.J. Perry fucking just something, some martial arts, something, please, for the love of God. Iron Fist or something like shit.
They're definitely good.
It's incredible. It's good work. I gave this 2 thumbs up, wholeheartedly 2 thumbs up.
I don't know if I think it's 2 thumbs up, but it's at least 1 thumb up. And I actually kind of liked what's his face,
Dave Franco.
The guy Dave Franco. Yeah, you didn't like him. I'm like, actually,
I'm not a fan of those brothers. That's the problem.
Yeah. But this was a surprisingly good movie. I was not expecting necessarily to like it, but
me either.
It was pretty damn good, and I was just like, damn, why don't we get to see more of Jamie Foxx? And another thing is, with Snoop Dogg was also in this movie as a vampire hunter.
Basically,
and usually when Snoop Dogg is in a movie, it's like a small, like 1-day appearance, right? Like he's on set for 1 day.
This might still
and
be
in this
bad,
one,
but...
he had. It might be, but they had him working a lot more because there were a lot more scenes with him in it.
Normally, it's a one-off joke about how high he is, or look at all this weed. But like now, it's like he's just like a character. Yeah. He's playing himself because he's not acting any differently. He's got this cool, suave gangster type deal because like that's what he was a gang. He was his whole image back in the day. So like he still has that.
And I love that
swagger, but like. Yeah.
I love that he had like a cowboy outfit or attire.
Yeah, I want him to be in a Western. I'm sure he's already done a Western, but...
And then shortly after that, when I was just listening to like my Amazon Music thing, because I get it for free with the Prime or whatever, Ghetto Cowboys, Bone Thugs and Harmony started playing, and I was just like...
Oh, shit.
It reminded me immediately.
That's really great, actually. I missed that.
But I mean, while we were watching the movie, I pointed out, like, oh yeah, he was also in Bones. He did that
Yeah,
whole movie Bones.
he was
Yeah,
he was the villain in Bones.
yeah.
That
So
was
like,
that's an entirely completely underrated slasher from the 2000s or late 90s 2000
so
era.
he's got some work in the horror film
Oh yeah, a
area.
bunch
You
of
know,
he's got a bunch of work in the horror in the horror movies. He's doing a lot of like smaller films. If you go look at
yeah.
his list, you can see like he does a few horror movies every couple years, and you're like, oh, that's fucking great. Uh, but I really want, I can't stress this enough. I really fucking want Snoop Dogg in a western. Okay, can y'all
And
make that
I think,
happen?
yeah, that'd be cool. And I think at this point, because he's been in enough films now, and he kind of knows the ropes. You know
Yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons why he was actually pretty damn good in this movie. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with his acting. Maybe it's a
No.
tiny bit stiff, but it's like, well,
No.
it was way better than some of the stuff I've seen in earlier films that he started.
You can tell he's having fun. He's not.
Yeah,
He's not. It's
exactly.
not fighting anyone on set. He's not having drama. He's just. He's there. He's having fun.
And I
You know.
feel like it feels like it's because he gets to be a much bigger part of this film that he usually gets to be a part of
And he gets to be
film.
a slightly different like character than he
More
normally is.
badass character, yeah. Somebody who plays an important role, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I recommend uh day shift. Bleh. I almost said day watch, which is another.
That was okay.
Well,
Night Watch is better, but
but yeah, day shift pretty damn good. Enjoyed it. Um, I hate that it's a Netflix movie because I
oh,
want to own it, and that
and,
might never happen.
right. Oh, speaking of Night Watch, Day Watch, Night Watch. I showed my polycule the Nucknoid Dozer, the Night Watch trailer. And they were like, "Holy fuck, we gotta see this!" So like, that's gonna go over like gangbusters, I think.
Yeah,
Once again, the day watch is upsetting because they just combined Day Watch and Twilight Watch together and made the movie, and it should have been Day Watch, and then the third movie should have been Twilight Watch. You know, that was the whole plan, and producers just couldn't do it, and we only got two movies, and so the third movie is this rush job. The second movie, excuse me, is this rush job, and there's no third movie, and there never will be. I would be
I
totally
bet
down
you if
with
they had,
new movies of those. Honestly,
I bet you if they had done Twilight Watch, given when that came out, that people would have accused them of doing a ripoff of Twilight.
it was a few more years before Twilight. I think. I think
But by the time that third movie would have come out, it would have.
maybe yeah, it's possible. I mean, I'm not denying that. I think it came out before the other movie. I could be wrong.
And they definitely would now if they did it now. People would be like, Twilight Watch, you're not even trying. Oh, there's a cat.
Oh, hi Skeletor! What a pretty kitty. Oh, I love kitties. I think mine's under the bed right now, but she's sleeping. Kitty, kitty.
She hasn't left me alone all week. She's been hanging out like, no, you don't get to have your keyboard here anymore. This is where I go.
She's your cat now, you know.
Yeah. She
100,000%.
chose me.
Yeah. Cat chooses its owner. Chooses its person, I should say. I don't even like calling. I don't really like saying I own my cat. I'm a companion to my
Yeah.
cat. Legally speaking, I own my cat, but eh.
You are, we are the tool by which cats access the world. You know?
That's an interesting way of
That's
looking
the
at it,
way.
actually. That's actually a really cool way of looking at it.
And that's why they just won't stop meowing until you give them what they want. Like, hey, give me food. I want food. Food. Wake up.
Right.
Food.
So, what do you remember about Emilio Estevez and Dollar for the Dead?
Um, I liked Free Jack. I liked them better in Free Jack, but
Damn.
but he was pretty good in this as well. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. They kind of
Ridiculous. That
felt
was
to
an
me,
execution. Jeez.
it kind of felt to me like Leonardo DiCaprio and he was in Quick and the Dead, right?
Yes.
Where just he's playing a character that's very baby faced. Well, he is very baby faced in a way, right? And so because of that, it just doesn't work as well for a grizzled Western
Well, I
movie.
gather this is supposed to be a
Although that
parody.
kind of character does exist in many Western
This
films.
is
It's
definitely
just
supposed to be a parody, but I don't think the movie never quite chooses whether it wants to be funny or cool. Because
yeah.
cool things happen, funny things happen, but not enough of either of those things happen.
It's referencing the Sergio Leone movies quite a
And
bit.
John Woo cinema, action cinema, the
Yes. Well,
new wave of
that's
Hong Kong stuff with the action.
yes. But the action, yes. But
Yeah.
in terms of the plot, it's like
Yep.
entirely out of a Sergio Leone movie.
Exactly. Oh yeah, yeah.
Emilio Estevez is playing Clint Eastwood. That's essentially what's happening there. He's playing the exact same role that Clint Eastwood has played in 100 fucking movies, or well,
5.
50.
I mean, he did at least 5 westerns where he was just a not talking cowboy, right? Like High Plains
Yeah.
Drifter. There's one more I'm thinking of.
And he didn't do a terrible job playing
The
the
other
Clint
three.
Eastwood character,
I think they should
but
have made him not talk. No
it
offense
just,
to
yeah,
Emilio, I
yeah,
just think that it would have been a better homage, or maybe made a joke about the fact that he can't
less
talk,
talking, or yeah,
or keep referencing the fact that he's not talking at anybody. Like, are you gonna
yeah,
talk? No, all right. Like some, like just little things like that to like emphasize the man with no name not talking much is like kind of silly, right?
yeah.
Like, um, I really like this movie. I want to preface that. I give it 2 thumbs up for myself. I think a general audience will give it 1 thumb up. I think most people are going to watch this and think it's okay. This was
I would
recommended.
say,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 go
Oh,
ahead.
I would say this is in the realm of potentially getting close to being a weird Western. You know what I mean? It's not weird in that it's
Yeah.
including like sci-fi elements, but it's just like there are certain things like for some reason the mob is in a Western town and there are two mob
No,
gangs
that's the
that are
last. That's the
fighting off
last.
against
That's the
each other.
last man standing. You're confusing movies.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, we're
No, I
talking about
thought it
that
was
next though.
okay.
The Dollar for the Dead is the one just straight
Okay.
up western that we watched after.
Just straight up okay.
Yeah.
And they even had like Ennio Morricone music in that one, right? This one, yeah. Okay. Sorry,
Wasn't
they kind of
Morricone
went
music?
together.
It was
For
very,
both
very,
90s
very,
Western.
very similar to Morricone's music. It was so similar. I wasn't sure it wasn't Morricone's similar music. We'll put it that way. That's how closely some of these music pieces sound.
It's not my fault I confused these two because 90s Westerns all look exactly the same. I'm sorry, they do.
Not wrong.
They
You're not
have a
wrong.
distinct feel to them that is completely different from a Western made in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
I
Well,
think
maybe the
I think
80s, but
that's because of
the
one
80s is kind of where
budgets,
it-
2 film stock,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
as
well, encompassed in budgets is like where they're shot too.
you're right,
Some of
exactly.
them are shot like in the same places as the original westerns were, but others are shot like in a completely different
In this
place.
case, Dollar for the Dead was shot in Spain on uh on Italian or on those Spanish movie sets that from those very same like people they're making fun of, or I guess lovingly homaging in a way. There was a specific director who's a
Was this the
producer on
one?
this,
No, this wasn't the one made for TNT. That was the other one.
and that is Tony Anthony. Tony
Where do I
Anthony.
know that name? I have heard that
He
name.
is the producer of Get Mean, Treasure of the Four Crowns, and the Zatoichi adaptation, a Western adaptation called Blind Man. Dollar for the Dead is his final producer credit, actually. Shit.
Hmm.
When did he die? No, he's still alive. Wow. Um. He directed a movie called Coming Together from 1971. He's, I think he's the star in the Stranger movies. Yeah, there's these series movies called The Stranger, where it's a stranger in town, a stranger returns, a silent stranger, and Get Mean. He's also the stranger, and he's also the producer of all those movies. So that's interesting. But yeah, he's notable as one of the producers of Dollar for the Dead, and I imagine that's how they got those those sets, that they were on. All right. Speaking of westerns, we also watched Last Man Standing, starring Bruce Willis when he was good. Was
When
that
he
too
was
rude? I think that may have been too rude. Oh well, it's Bruce Willis.
good. I like this one as well. This one was the one that's kind of a little weird in that you got the mob and
This
everything.
is directly a fistful of dollars, but set in Prohibition era,
Yeah.
Arizona, I think, or New Mexico, or they're on the border of Mexico for sure. It's the last stop from Mexico, and our main character is there to meet. It's not explicitly stated in the movie why he is in this room. Our main character, who does he have a name? I don't know if he has a name. 1 second.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
John Smith. That doesn't count. So an unknown man named John Smith.
A man with no name, you might
You
say.
might say, yes, arrives in town. He's looking for a contact with information on how to get across the border. That's mentioned in the screenplay, but not in the movie anywhere explicitly. But his contact is dead. No, it's a spoiler, not a spoiler because it's literally in the opening scene. Once again, they don't have actual mention of this in the movie. Like Bruce Willis walks by a man in a casket, and that's the contact he's supposed to meet. So now he's in this town, and he knows he doesn't have a way into Mexico. And also, some shit starts happening, and he starts working for various people in these two gangs that are fighting over this. Or two mafias specifically that are fighting over the town, and yeah, it's basically Fistful of Dollars but different.
Yeah. It's Fistful of Dollars. It's very on the nose Fistful of Dollars too.
It's a Walter Hill film too. It's very well shot.
I mean, like, if you've seen Fistful of Dollars and you compare it to this one, the only major difference is that instead of like two gangs, they're two mobs.
Yeah,
It's
the same thing though. And this
pretty
also
much the same thing, yeah.
has Hong Kong style action gunplay at the dual wielding, which is why I connected it to that Dollar for the Dead. That's how I'm kind of chaining these together somewhat thematically.
I think, honestly, to his credit, Bruce Willis does way better in Western roles.
This
than
is his
Emilio
prime,
Estevez.
by the way. This is near the end of his prime. This is after Die Hard with a Vengeance, which was the year before. This movie didn't do well. It kind of bombed, and I remember watching it.
Well, nobody wanted to watch Westerns.
But it wasn't really a Western, so they were trying to get away with that. But yeah, it came out in '96. I watched it on VHS probably '99. Me and my buddies, we would go home from school because we were all high school buddies. So I'm like 17, 16, around in there. And we would go to a movie in the theater. I don't know what movie we saw. I remember watching very specifically this night of movies because these movies all stuck in my brain to some degree. We watched Way of the Gun, which does not hold up, sadly. There's some really great moments, but it just doesn't hold up. Too many slurs, pointless hate speech, some not great writing, but someone's really great. Anyway, Way of the Gun, and then it was Last Man Standing, and it was Bound. And then I rented Bound. So someone rented Last Man Standing. Stevie D rented Way of the Gun. I rented Bound. I don't remember who rented Fist of the North Star, but we watched one of the Fist of the North Star anime movie also. It was a very epic night in particular because I remember by the time we got to, I started drinking by the beginning of Bound. We played some rounds of Magic. By the time we got to Fist of the North Star, I was hammered. And like, I mean, like hammered. Like, I remember the gore. I remember one sequence in the Fist of the North Star where this guy literally like is walking towards, I think, a fortress or an army, and they're charging him. He's like stepping on them, and like at one point someone jumps at him and he just crushes them, and then someone just leaps right into his fucking mouth or some shit, and he's just like like I remember him just gnashing this guy in half. Someone who knows anime will definitely tell me what that's from, but that's that epic night. This was in the middle of that epic night. I have such fond memories of this. Watching this again brought a lot of that back, and on top of it, this movie fucking rules. It fucking rules. I give it 2 thumbs up. It's majorly skin slip approved. Like, holy shit.
I give it 1 thumbs up. It was good, but I don't think I don't love it as much as you do.
Like, it's
but
going
you
on my
have
shelf
different
one day,
reasons for
you
that.
know?
Yeah, it's definitely worth having, I think. It's a very fun movie. It's a very good movie.
Yep.
Just not good enough for me to give it 2 stars.
Yeah, that's fair. Next
Two
up, we watched Extreme Prejudice, which is also a Walter Hill film from 1987 this time, a decade prior. It stars Nick Nolte, Powers Booth, Michael Ironside, and Rip Torn and Clancy Brown. I forgot about, and William Forsythe. Right. And it's about the Texas Ranger and a ruthless narcotics kingpin, and who were friends, and now they're on the opposite sides of the law. And you noted it was very similar to the Wild Bunch in a way.
Yes, there were a lot of elements that felt almost exactly like the Wild Bunch. It wasn't exactly the same though.
No, of course not.
Certain elements that were like
it would play well with the Wild Bunch as a second
yeah.
feature or something.
I think that it was definitely inspired by the Wild Bunch.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nick Nolte plays a character in this that is different in some ways than what I usually expect from him. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of some of the roles that we've seen in the what's his face?
I don't know what you're trying to
Chuck
say.
Norris. Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris. Okay.
Some of the roles Chuck Norris took earlier on in his career, based how we've been watching some of his earlier
Good
work.
Guys Wear Black or whatever. Very specific.
That's kind of what it feels like in terms of the quality of his acting performance.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it feels like it's not quite all there, but I think that's not because he wasn't doing well. I think it's more just that this isn't the kind of role that Nick Nolte typically does. It's somewhat close to the kind of role he typically does, but it feels. I put it this way while watching the movie, right? I remember saying that if this was made today, the role Nick Nolte was playing with, or if it had been made in the '90s, like 5 or 10 years later, it's a role that would have been played by Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because if you think of The Fugitive and what was the one that came after The Fugitive?
The Hunted? No, you mean U.S. Marshals.
U.S. Marshals, yeah. U.S. Marshals and The Hunted, yeah. If you think of that era of Tommy Lee Jones and that kind of role that he played, that's exactly the kind of role that Nick Nolte plays in this film. I just kind of think Tommy Lee Jones plays that role better, but
I feel like Nick Nolte's
I love Nick Nolte. It's just
he's too much of a by the book type cop, I think, in most movies, and it just feels out of character.
Yeah.
I feel like this would play really well with To Live and Die in L.A. Though I think William Peterson outshines Nick Nolte, like acts circles around him. Like the unhinged performance of To Live and Die in L.A. is like kind of hard to top, honestly. I don't even think he ever topped that in his entire career. I think that was his pinnacle. Not as like his It was the era, the freedom of acting, the director, the time, the place, the drugs. So those things all together. That movie could only have been made in 1987. I think it's 87. Maybe it's 86. Could only be made in the 80s. In that
Mhm.
place, in that time, about those people, starring those people, and replace any one element, and it plays so differently. Meanwhile, this movie, I feel like you can replace Nick Nolte with a lot of actors, and you'll
Yeah,
get the same movie, but maybe it's different acting a little bit,
yeah.
I mean, it's not like a huge amount of range, but I feel like, yeah, To Live and Die in L.A. and Extreme Prejudice would pair together as a double feature. I would say do Extreme Prejudice first.
Yes,
People
absolutely.
always say, "Oh, you put the best movie first." Like, fuck no, you make them work for that good movie.
That's right.
You make them sit through that other fucking movie. Otherwise, they just bail on you in the second movie. No, motherfucker, you gotta watch this whole thing, and no, you can't come in between movies.
That's how it was with me. And when I went to see The Lion King, when it was a fucking back when I was a kid, but when it was a little bit later, and they were doing a double feature, and it was later in the run for The Lion King,
hmm
and it was like I was finally getting to go see The Lion King, but I had to watch a double feature because my mom wanted to get the best possible deal
Right.
for her bang for her buck, right?
Been there, done that.
And the first movie that we had to watch before we got to watch The Lion King was Angels in the Outfield,
That's an okay movie though.
which is okay, but it's like you got to sit through Angels in the Outfield before you get to.
Imagine having to sit through Angels in the Outfield to watch Lion King. You poor fuck. That must have been like agony. Like you couldn't play another animated films, you
Listen,
fucking cowards.
at the time, I didn't even like baseball, so it was just very.
What?
It was
I can't
weird.
imagine you not liking baseball.
I
That's
was a
so wild.
basketball fan at the time. I
Oh,
was a huge
Jesus.
basketball fan.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah,
Uh.
nerd, but about sports. I just heard what was it? I think the name of the band is Viagra Boys,
what?
and the song is Sports. And it's amazing because like the
What?
song itself is, it's got a decent beat to it, but it's literally just the fucking lead singer yelling incoherently, "Sports, baseball," like a almost like a Willis kind of
Nobody,
type
like,
deal.
everyone's trying to copy Wesley Willis.
It
Nobody
is.
can be Wesley Willis.
Nobody ever will.
Nobody ever
Nobody ever will.
will.
But I did like this. That was
There's some people, some acts, some pieces of art, some whatever that can't be duplicated. Wesley Willis was a one of a kind human being that will never exist ever again in the annals of history.
I think what I liked about this song though was that it's kind of commentating on the way that like traditional geeks and nerds don't typically like sports, and so it's that whole like that response to the jock kind of thing from the nerd, like, oh yeah, you love all sports, you know.
All right.
It has that kind of feeling to it. But anyway,
What are your thoughts on the Black Phone that dominated the last two?
very disturbing, and very good. I was not even expecting to be able to see this as soon as we did, but popped up on Peacock, so I
Technically
watched it.
came out last year, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I had heard all the hype. I hadn't seen any spoilers, thank God.
I heard nothing
Um,
except that it dealt with trauma and to be going
but
carefully. And I was like, okay, that was
yeah,
good.
and you said that, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I had no idea because
The only warning I got was no spoilers, but it deals with trauma. Be in the right headspace. I was like, okay, thank you.
yeah,
That's the kind of content warning I need, like, from a movie. You don't have to spoil it unless you absolutely need to explain what the content is that I need to avoid. But yeah, this deals with trauma. Be in the right headspace. Okay, that means like today I've been having a shitty day. Last night was awful. It's just like it's been a real shit show. I couldn't watch that tonight, as an example. There's no
Yeah.
way in hell I'd be able to watch that tonight.
Um,
That's all I
Black
heard.
Phone though was quite good. I'm just thinking back to things that it's reminding me of now, like
Oh, lovely.
the way that it's shot, the especially when they're like working with in the dark and stuff like that, so they don't have a lot of light, the low lighting kind of stuff. Reminds me of the way that Mindhunter was shot, and I love Mindhunter, and I
Show?
kind of want to revisit it. Yeah, the
I've never
show.
seen
Yeah,
it, so I'll put it on the list.
I thought we watched it.
Never. I've
Why do
never
I
seen it.
always think we watched it together?
I don't know.
Yes,
I'll add it to our show list. We have a.
I think
I
I
can't
think we
remember.
started to watch it, but we didn't finish it.
I remember watching either that or the Blacklist. What's it called?
I don't know.
Mindhunter?
Yeah, Fincher.
Cool. It's on the series list now.
Okay. I'm sorry, but you were sitting right on the power button. This she's a brat. Okay.
I'm a brat, apparently. I was informed this week. Last week, actually. I was like, wait. I did this whole thing. It's like, you're a brat. And I was like, and then I go ask my partner, my Metamors, and they're like, yeah,
kind of.
you kind of. I'm like, oh. No one fucking told me. No one fucking told me. I've been dating people for years. No one fucking told me I was a brat. No one.
No one, not even me.
No one fucking said a word.
Anyways, regarding the black phone,
Tell me what's the plot. Give me the plot. Give me a plot synopsis. Best you can.
yes, trigger warning, and we've already kind of talked about it, but about there being trigger warning to it. But it does deal with child abduction
And abuse.
and abuse. Yes,
Emotional and physical, including allusion to sexual abuse. You don't see anything, but there's the warning.
So Ethan Hawke plays the villain. This PDF file, if you will, who is stealing PDF file.
Oh, right. Got it. Understood. Moving on.
He's abducting children, and he's got if you look at the cover for the artwork for the film, you're gonna see him wearing a disturbing as fuck mask, and he wears it in the film as well, of course.
Remember correctly, the mask.
He has half of it off on this way. He has
the
like
mask
this part
is
on.
why he took
This
the role.
part on. Perhaps, I don't know.
Oh.
But I love that Ethan Hawke is becoming such a big part of horror movies in the past few years.
Oh, Tom Savini designed the face.
He's done pretty damn good in some of the more recent horror movies that he's done, and I'm happy to see him getting more work.
I mean, I love Ethan Hawke. He is one of the best fucking actors working. Like, he is. It's like him, Vincent D'Onofrio, Nick Cage. There's a bunch of women I'm totally blanking on, but they're all fucking incredible.
I'm always stunned by Vincent D'Onofrio because that man has a fucking huge career with a wide range. Yeah.
I fully believe Vincent D'Onofrio could act any role. Any role. And
I think of his role.
Wow.
Whenever I think of him, the first thing I think of is Full Metal Jacket. His role in Full Metal Jacket.
Incredible.
Which you wouldn't even think of immediately off the top of your head, except for I've seen it enough, and it's that scene is ingrained into my fucking memory, and so that's what I think of when I think of Vincent D'Onofrio. And then the second thing I think of is Kingpin, and it's like such two wildly different roles.
Yet both those characters had been teased as kids, which is interesting. That's the thing. When I saw fucking Full Metal Jacket at 12. Which was definitely not the appropriate age, but it was on TV. Vincent D'Onofrio really spoke to me because I was a bullied kid, right? I felt seen in a way, and so I've always loved that actor ever since. He's an incredible, incredible actor. Anyway, he's not in this movie. Ethan Hawke is. I'm sorry.
No,
They're both
it's
just
my
really.
fault,
I
Teddy.
want them together to be. I just want a TV series that combines. Oh, what's his face? Fucking the Doc from Deadwood. Chucky's voice. What's his name? Brad Dourif.
Oh, Prejudice. Yeah.
Brad Dourif, Ethan Hawke, and Vincent D'Onofrio in a movie together, like a western or something together. Like, please.
That'd be cool.
Fuck yes, please give that to me.
We just saw him we just saw Ethan Hawke in a Western, didn't we?
Yep.
It was in
Valley of Violence, I think.
the Ty West one. Yeah, yeah.
In the Valley of Violence, that was called.
Very good. He's good.
Very good movie. I'm gonna fucking own that shit for sure.
Oh, hi JL. How's it going? So the black phone, though, it feels. Oh God, I can't describe it. It gives me a certain feeling of like movies and shows that I've seen before that deal with this subject. And the best way I can think of to say it is just it's done in the style of, I don't know, unsolved mysteries, but also mind hunters, but also, you know, uh Stranger Things to a certain degree. Like there are elements of all these
It definitely feels like
things
that.
one of the characters is a young girl and she doesn't take shit from fucking
Nope.
anybody.
I love
and
that character.
fucking love it.
Best fucking
It's
character in the
like-
whole movie.
It's not the kind of character you would see in a typical horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a movie that's like set up like a typical horror movie, but it's got these little characters that really give flavor to it.
She's probably the bravest
So-
character in the entire fucking movie. Fucking love that character so fucking
Yeah.
much. Like that's the
Her
reason why
character
I'm
kind of
probably
reminds me of
her
Louise
performance.
from.
No Check is
Or
probably the reason I'm
Offspring.
gonna own this. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really love that character.
It gives it a fucking spice, I guess, to a film
Weird,
that otherwise
yes.
is really disturbing.
That was a weird thing to say, but yeah, sure, I'll go with it. Spice. It reminds me. I was talking with my British friend, and like, I can't remember what it was. It was something totally mild to us Americans. And my friend's like, "That's really spicy." I'm like, "What are you gonna do? Fucking eat macaroni and cheese and call it spicy? What the fuck's wrong? What? What's going on here?" Like, it's not spicy. The spicy nacho was too spicy for him. Not spicy nacho Doritos. They were like, they're too spicy for me. I'm like, they're just nacho cheese. They don't really taste like anything other than that. There's a slight burn after you eat like 30 of them.
Wait, they're in the UK, right?
Yeah, they've never had those before. Someone had shipped them that.
But
Their
they
friend
have all
shipped them a
kinds
couple
of,
bags of stuff they only make here.
they have all kinds of authentic Indian food there, which is can be very.
And none of those
Spicy.
motherfuckers eat that shit. 'Cause it's
I don't.
too
I think
spicy.
some of them do, but
No,
maybe not.
people
I
I'm
guess I
talking about.
thought they did, but I
Not the
guess
people I'm
not.
talking about.
Yeah,
The particular British kind of people I'm talking about are people who, like I said,
you're talking about
could
the
eat macaroni
beans
and
on
cheese and call it
toast people.
spicy. And I posted that in Twitter, and my British friend was like, "Oh my god, you shouldn't say it, but it is true." And I was like, it's great.
You're talking about them beans on toast people. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah, what was the plot of Black Phone again? Because we keep getting sidetracked, and we should probably actually.
Ethan Hawke plays a child abductor, and he abducts a child. We get to know him at first. The first time we see him, he's playing a baseball game. He's a pitcher. So we know that he pitches. We know certain elements of him. But what I like is that all those things come into play. Everything you learn about him in the first 5 minutes he's on screen about this kid, all come into play later on when he's trying to escape.
It's a very well made movie. That's
Very, very well done.
like
Yes.
it's well constructed. No complaints. It's getting pretty rave reviews among my my friends.
My personal favorite is that the children end up saving themselves, and the cops are incompetent idiots. who can't do anything right.
Just like real life.
It's so realistic.
I only. That being said, there's some moments that made me uncomfortable, which it was probably trying to do, but because of that, I can only give it 1 thumbs up. I can't give it 2.
Thankfully, like they could have. There are so many movies that, like, if this was directed by Eli Roth, for example, I would have been concerned about some of the directions he might have gone with the subject.
I don't think he would have
material.
handled the subject well at all.
Yeah,
No offense to Eli Roth.
he's great
He
in
made.
some
I mean,
ways,
he's made
but
some good movies, and he's.
and I like him for certain things, but not this subject. I don't. No.
I don't think I would be friends with Eli Roth in real life. I don't think we
Me
would get
either. I
along
don't have to
because
be
of.
friends with him to think his movies are all right.
No. I'm saying like he's one of those people like yeah, I like his art, but I don't think I could hang out with Eli Roth. I don't think I'm the the temperament to deal with Eli Roth without losing my sanity a little bit. It's like I love Tarantino's movies. Don't leave me alone in a room with Tarantino, please. I can't. How do I tell him to shut up? He's Tarantino. It's like fuck. I mean, like I said, I love his movies, but I would be able to deal with him in very short bursts. I would watch a movie with him, and I'm out the door while the fucking credits are still rolling. He's not even done talking. Like that's me. Like I can't. I gotta go. Thanks for the movie. I gotta go.
But yes, the subject matter in this film is handled
Very
very appropriately, much more appropriately than it might be by other filmmakers. Is just what I was trying to get across.
Mm-hmm.
No,
So I don't disagree. Yeah.
2 thumbs up for Black Phone. 2 enthusiastic. This is when they're enthusiastic. Thumbs up.
Speaking of great characters, I think we should finally talk about Prey.
Prey. Didn't we talk about Prey already?
No,
we didn't talk about Prey.
sir.
I think that was the first movie we watched after.
Yes, it was.
Um,
Oh my god, this movie is so fucking good. As far as a studio produced, big budget sci fi horror film, this is really fucking good.
I know how this is going to sound when I say this, right? But I feel like I like this better than the original film. I'm not even joking, because the original film has all these like extremely macho elements to them. It's like machismo, out the ass kind of shit, and there's nothing wrong with that inherently. But especially considering that's the era it came out of in the 80s, that was very popular, and that's why they had that kind of stuff in there. But this is more of like a story of like real people, native people trying to deal with this. And I I liked it better than a bunch of, you know, maybe not assholes, but fucking macho
guys, yeah.
Yeah, trying to kill this thing,
Cast Amber Midthunder and fucking everything.
Now,
just everything. I need her in a Marvel
Yeah.
movie. I need her in a Star Wars movie. Get the fuck on this shit right the fuck now. Get her in the next Star Trek movie. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Get her in all this shit. I want to see her everywhere. She deserves to be fucking everywhere. Holy fuck. She's so fucking good in this movie. She's so good in this movie. Oh my god.
When I say I like this like a little bit better, I mean like just it's like a little bit over for me. It's like if Predator for me is a 9, this is a 9.1. That's all I'm saying. It's just a little better for me.
I have been holding steadfast saying Predator 2 is the best one, but I got to agree with you. This is the best in the franchise. And then Part 2. And Part 2 is directly connected to this because it's the pistol that Danny Glover's given. Is given to Amber Midthunder's character, whose name I'm blanking on. Because I don't ever remember character names.
Me either.
I've only seen it once, so forgive me. So, and then in the end credits, you see that there's more Predator ships. So give me my fucking sequel right now. Give me Prey 2.
Yes.
Give it to me. I need it right now. Greenlight a fucking Predator anthology series that and you can just jump around time periods.
Yeah. That's
Give
what we
that,
were
make
talking
that
about when we
happen.
were watching this. It was like, yes, just it should be like
I'm fucking manifesting. This is my summoning circle.
like with Assassin's Creed, where they all the different games visit different time periods and places in the world and in those different time periods. That's what they need to do with the
You can
Predator
do different. You can do a whole season in one time period. You could do random episodes, several episodes in one period, and then several episodes in another time period. I don't care if there's connected characters or predators or anything. I just give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I love this universe.
Want to quantum leap every few years from one time period to another time
Give
period.
me every goddamn setting. I want pirates. I want fucking knights. I want fucking
yes, it's the same story over and over again.
I don't give a shit.
Let's do it somewhere else this time. Let's have different characters.
You can have all sorts of different human conflict, but just throw Predator. You can take whatever great fucking movie you remember as a kid, rewrite it, and throw Predator in the middle of it, and write an actor thing at the end, and I'd be fucking happy as a pig in... I was gonna say shit, but they're not really happy in shit. A pig in, I don't know, mud. It's very happy in mud. But like, this was such a good fucking movie. I was just so happy by the end of it. I mean, like, if I was in the theater I might be one of the pretentious people clapping. Like, I would be one of them, 100%, because I fucking loved this movie. As soon as I can get my hands on the Blu-ray, it's going into my collection. I own all the Predator movies, even the first one, but only on DVD because fuck DNR.
I have the 3-pack for the 4K 3-pack, the Ultimate Collection, which doesn't have the last one, but yeah, we still need to get that one.
Yep. I don't have a 4K, so I ain't bothered. Some things are only coming out in 4K. Like Running Man Steelbook is only in 4K. There's no Blu-ray included, and I'm like,
oh yeah, by the way, 2 thumbs up.
Son of a bitch. Oh, that's just a 2. About Black Phone is like 1 thumbs up. Prey, 2 massive, giant fucking thumbs up. Huge, giant, massive, huge, giant thumbs. That's it. I'm just saying. Fucking, I gave it, yes. So good. So fucking good. And, like, of course, there's also colonialist French being slaughtered by the dozen, too. That's another great part. Just give me more of those,
that was
please.
A very good part, yes.
Give me a Predator in Civil War killing Confederates, please. I need my historical jerk-off porn, all right?
There was a point in the film where I was like, I would love for this to be, like, suddenly the story of Roanoke, but...
oh, I mean, they could do that. That'd be the perfect setting.
They can still do that, yeah.
That could be a setting for a fucking movie, or a whole series, a whole season of a series.
Oh, you could turn it into, like, this is the, this creature is like make it out to be like a famed mythological creature throughout Native American history, right? Don't make it like one that actually existed because that's offensive. Just make something up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. That's not my problem. That's not my business.
Yeah.
But like, you could do a Roanoke story, right? Where, they call it Croatoan. That's perfect. You want to know why? Because that's the thing that was left on the tree.
Yeah.
It's like, it's perfect. It's right there. It's right there for the disappearance. But the whole season is them, like, slowly, a bunch of them get killed, and slowly they figure out there's something wrong, and then the town bandies together, and almost everyone's killed. But a kid escapes into the wilderness covered in mud, and then the next season, you can have that kid as an adult or still a kid. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. That's a whole other thing you can do. Maybe the kid's raised by the predator.
Oh God.
Because that'd be fucking cool as shit. I'm just saying. You can do so much. It's a fertile field full of ideas. And
Yeah,
it's a merchandising juggernaut.
it's true. Very, very true.
All right, so sorry. Prey rocks. I'll stop. Jerking off the movie. Do you want to do? Let's do Beyond the Mat. Do you remember anything about Beyond the Mat? You want to talk
Um,
about that?
it was a documentary about wrestling.
About 3 eras of wrestlers: the up and coming star, The Rock, the guy who's in the spotlight, Mankind, aka Mick Foley, and the fading star, and that's Terry Funk. And it also shows you like the people who are like at the very bottom, indie wrestlers, like struggling to just even be noticed by WWE. This is a very influential documentary that happened in that came out in '99 after there was a long battle over this between WWE and the studio or in the director or whatever. And yeah, when they filmed, this was like I don't remember when it was shot. I don't remember the actual year. Someone who knows wrestling can tell you the exact year and the exact month period that those segments were shot because they remember the plot lines a lot better than someone who's been hitting the head with a baseball bat.
Mid to late 90s.
Yeah,
Late
it's
90s?
like '97. I feel like, you know.
Maybe even as late as, well, in terms of when it was released, maybe even as late as 99. I don't.
It was. I mean, it was over a time, but yeah, like the
Yeah.
earlier stuff happens before that because Terry Funk retired, and then shows up at WWE after his fucking retirement match at the beginning of the movie.
I
You
have
know?
to say, like, my favorite part about this documentary, and that, you know, Terry Funk, that element really reminded me of The Wrestler.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to watch
I
it
think
again at some point too. But
that's one of the inspirations. I would love to
yeah,
rewatch The Wrestler. It's one of my favorites.
but there's that, but the thing that I liked the most was Mick Foley, and it's literally just because I enjoy any opportunity to see Mick Foley behind the
Yeah,
scenes,
I
just
actually
being Mick
have bookmarked
Foley,
a few of his stand-up
because
performances. So
Mick Foley being Mick Foley is one of the most wholesome things in the God known universe. Like, it's he's just such a good person, and you can tell.
he's a kind soul.
I there's this moment in the film early on when they show him on the set of a film, right? Mick Foley and Vince McMahon is right next to him, but he's working with Vince McMahon on this movie, right? And Vince McMahon doesn't look angry. He doesn't look upset. He doesn't look like he has any reason in the world to have any problem with anything. And you would think that somebody who is funding a movie or part of a film production and he's on set and he's, you know, trying to deal with a bunch of different things all at once and is known for sometimes being loud and boisterous, you would think that this person would be like that in a stressful situation. But here, Vince McMahon is sitting right next to Mick Foley. He's quiet, he's reserved, more quiet and reserved than I think I've ever seen Vince McMahon on or off any set. So like it said to me like how much Mick Foley, how nice it must be to work with Mick Foley because you know
That's probably a most authentic depiction of Vince McMahon. Normally the camera's pointed at him and he's in character. But I
yeah
think
yeah
that
yeah
moment when he's very
it's like a Mick Foley.
calm and very like reserved, I feel like that's his actual real self. Like when he
That
hangs out
might
with
be
friends,
yeah
I bet you that's how he acts.
yeah, especially somebody when he hangs out with somebody like Mick Foley because Mick Foley's just a great guy. So like
I imagine
you
he
have to
yells a
worry
lot
about
behind the scenes at work.
yeah
But
oh yeah
anyway, sorry, you were saying I didn't mean to
but
trample that.
yeah, I just love any chance to see Mick Foley in a film uh, where he's being himself, like in I Am Santa Claus.
Uh,
Although he does turn into Santa Claus.
he is like, look, if I believed in canonizing people into some sort of deities, Mick Foley should be a saint. He's a saint. I've read story
The
after
patron
story after
saint of
story
wrestling.
after story, he should be the patron saint of wrestling. I'm not even kidding you. I've heard story after story of story of him donating his time to people and their children to just put a smile on a kid's face, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like literally leaving his own family Thanksgiving, Christmas, to go hang out with some other kid who didn't get a chance to hang out with him when he wanted when they were supposed to prior, but he made it up to him and went and like hung out with him on like Christmas, on fucking Christmas Day, dude. He let this fucking kid to hang out with this kid because that kid needed someone, anyone, you know. Oh, hi Skeletor, thanks for being the co-host. You're very helpful? Question mark.
Question mark.
I wish Sherlock would lay on the desk more often. But no, this is probably this. This is you get to see Mick Foley's wife, his kids, who are all adults now. By the way, they're all adults now because it's been over 20 years since this movie came out.
Yep.
And so some of
They're
those
all
people,
kids in this one.
some of those people worked at WWE until recently. Some of those people, are Instagram stars and social media starlets. Whatever. Not my business. Have fun. It's your fucking life. But like, yeah, it's kind of wild. I'm surprised no one's gone into wrestling yet. You know. I would root for a Mick Jr. like on TV, honestly, because Mick Foley was like one of those guys I idolized, and he's like probably the only person I've ever idolized who I think I could safely idolize. You know what I mean? I don't. Most times you say don't meet your heroes. I can meet Mick Foley. I've met him several times. He really is the fucking nicest goddamn person you've ever fucking met. And he's funny and he's charming and I would I will go every chance I can to meet him from now until forever. Every time he's near us after we move, near us for like a personal appearance, it's like, Justin, we gotta drive 5 hours. You're like, why? Mick Foley. Okay. I know you're like, all right. I mean, like, it's Mick Foley. Because I want to go meet Mick Foley again. I gotta hug Santa Claus, all right? I need it. It's for me.
It's for me.
It's for me.
But beyond that I would give it 1 thumbs up. It was good. It was interesting. It was informative. And you got to see Mick Foley.
I would say if you're a fan of wrestling like me, it's a 2 thumbs up. Because there's no other documentary like it that digs this deep into the background of wrestling. And it doesn't fucking treat you like an idiot because you don't know the behind the scenes stuff. It doesn't make you think wrestling's real. I mean, the fucking damage that happens to people's bodies is real, but it's predetermined. It never fucking shies away from that.
Yeah.
And I fucking really liked it. And I have a feeling that Dark Side of the Ring was influenced by this movie because the reenactment at the beginning of the movie is very reminiscent of the Dark Side of the Ring style reenactment. Still, they do different lighting to cover up likenesses and stuff sometimes, but yeah, basically the same thing. I really like this documentary. Like I said, 2 thumbs up as a wrestling fan, 1 thumbs up if you. It's pretty fair for someone who doesn't watch wrestling very often.
Yes.
Speaking of documentaries, let's move into mockumentaries. The Legend of Boggy Creek.
The Legend of Boggy Creek. We watched the Joe Bob version of that.
We did.
That was done by the same guy who did The Town That Dreaded Sunday.
Yes,
right?
Charles B. Pierce.
Charles B. Pierce.
He also did The Evictors, Boggy Creek 2, The Norseman, Winterhawk, I think is the other, as like indigenous like dude traveling across America, I think. I can't remember. I saw that when I was really little, and I can't quite remember the plot of that. I had it on VHS, Anyway, I have the Victors on Blu-ray, and it's actually on the pile to watch together. So we'll eventually see that. But
Well,
yes, Charles B. Pierce.
this, I mean, in terms of a mockumentary, I like that aspect of it. But I do feel like this kind of drags a bit, and that there's just not much there for
It's a
this one.
very early found footage mockumentary type film.
Yeah.
Uh, those two genres are very tightly woven together since the very beginning, as we've discussed the connection prior, which is both a mockumentary and found footage. Literally the first of, I believe. Oh no, not the first mockumentary because that's Named to the North, but only because it's not real. I mean,
Mhm.
they yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I I this movie is like important, by the way, because this includes real unscripted people telling you about their experiences with Bigfoot, and also planted people. And you cannot tell me which one's which. They're all a little bit like small towny. You know what I mean? You've been to a small town. You know everybody who's in this fucking movie. You know a guy like all these guys. If you're in a small town, you grew up there. You know those
I
people.
still say I agree with Joe Bob, and I think that the monster in this case um, was actually that guy in that fucking shed out in the woods.
I think
That guy.
that's a good strong point. Yes, because it's talking about real places and real instances and real people, and some of those real people are on this fucking film, as previously discussed. I think that might be his real shack. That might be that real guy's shack out in the woods.
Yeah. And I would like to. Didn't he say he shot one of his toes off or something?
I think he shot one. Yeah, he said he accidentally shot his toes off
But
once.
uh, but I would like to believe that this guy literally was just dressing up like a fucking uh maybe it was like an ape costume or something. He was just dressing up like some kind of a monster and going out just to scare people just for the fuck of it, just for kicks. Like he that was what he did for fun
Right?
on a Saturday night. I want to believe that, not that he was ever trying to do anything
He's just making fun of tourists,
untoward. He's just
basically.
yeah. That's what I want to believe. And so that is what I will believe. I choose to believe
I choose to believe. Yeah, I agree with your assessment. It is a bit of a slow paced film. I think everyone should at least watch it once, only because it is a very important film in the history of horror.
it's not too
And
long either, is it?
75 minutes, I think.
Yeah. So even though it
87, that's close.
drags on a little bit, it's like it's short. It drags, but
It's
it's
short.
short.
It's no longer on. I don't think it's on Shudder anymore. I think it's one of the ones that got really removed. So you can watch the Joe Bob segments, which are very much worth watching. I must stress, but you need to watch the movie first, probably, because they're ordered differently. I don't know how they work. Hold on.
I have a cat sleeping on my hand.
Oh my god. All right. Ooh, I'm a little dizzy. Uh,
She is very cute.
we watched another mockumentary called Punishment Park. Do you remember the plot of Punishment Park, which was that incredible movie that we watched?
Yes, I do. It's very disturbing. It purports to be like a documentary footage from uh, a committee is
It's a
probably what I would
BBC.
call
It's a BBC film crew filming for like I think BBC or something like that,
it. Yeah, yeah.
and they're sent to fascist America. It's set in the future and shot on film. It's like Future Past. So it's the future, but everyone looks like it's the 70s because it's shot in 1975,
Yeah.
1974, and like low budget. It's also one of the earliest, the early mockumentaries. It's only 1 year
Feels
before
very real.
Legend of Boggy Creek.
it feels like it could actually be real, could have been real, at this point. Um, so what happens is that they've rounded up these people that they've brought out to this like tribunal, and this tribunal, this committee, is deciding their fate. Basically, they
I
have
gotta let my cat out.
the authority of like a judge, so they get to hand out sentences to these people, and they've brought them out uh, to the desert, and they're um, sentencing them um, to one thing or another. They're saying you can either serve this amount of time in prison, which, if I recall correctly, was usually between 10 and 25 years. You can serve between 10 and 25 years in prison, or you can go through Punishment Park, which was like a thing where they had to reach a certain destination within 3 days, and if they reached it without uh, you know within that time in this hot, oppressive desert, then they would that would be their punishment, basically. That's why they call it Punishment Park. Um,
They're given like no water. There's one water station at the halfway point,
and
and federal authorities are chasing them.
that wasn't even a real station either.
That's
There
true.
wasn't actual water there.
That was the spoiler.
Oh, sorry. I
That
didn't
was
think.
the point. It's purported to be there.
Yeah,
Um, but this was a really fucking good. It was visceral and realistic. It felt like it could have been real. It feels like it could end up being real. I mean, like, this is literally. I feel like this is the nugget, the kernel that grew, or the seed that grew into the purge, right? Same from the same kind of sentiment that I think those things grew. The
mhm.
fascism,
Oh
using
yeah.
corporal punishment, making it entertainment. Because the whole point was like it was. I think it was broadcast or something. It was something like that. It was like there was some television element to this, but BBC was there doing a BBC was doing their like doing the background, doing like a movie or a documentary about the whole process, right? And yeah, it's uh it's interesting.
It's very disturbing because of things that have been happening recently in the real world in the United States. So, if you've ever had any anxieties about where all of this could lead to in the near future, this movie will bring those anxieties to life for you, and you can meet them and say hello to the future
uh
that
my
we're going to
goodness.
desperately try to avoid.
I
It In that way, though, it honestly feels like almost like a fucking Orwell kind of thing. It is proper um, dystopia. It's the kind of thing like if you liked Blade Runner, if you liked those kinds of movies, Mad Max to a certain degree, um, then you'd probably like this mockumentary as well, Punishment Park, because it deals with a lot of the same subject matters and the brutality of of uh, of fascistic groups who don't care about anybody but themselves. So yeah, and in that way, I'm like, it's pretty disturbing. I would say maybe not everybody should watch it, or at least watch it at a good time for yourself to watch it. Um, yeah, very good for the reason that it's like this is entirely possible.
oh
Like
yeah.
I look at that, I'm
Yep.
like, that could actually happen.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
fucked up.
It's too believable.
Mhm.
Too fucking believable.
Too far, too far.
Too much. Too much. So God, what were we talking about? Oh yeah. Continuing on the found footage. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Footage. Yeah.
Footage. Let's talk about David Holzman's Diary, which is from 1967, which is an I think maybe the second or third found footage film ever, like ever. It's like really early. I couldn't tell you offhand specifically. I'm trying
The
to
very
bring it up.
first feature-length YouTube video of all time.
It literally feels like the YouTube videos of people doing vlogs. It's very much
Yeah.
that. Uh, People like Zaren Isaac, Weird Paul, and a few others all did the stuff in the 80s, with camcorders. So there's
Well, that's
probably
affordable. Yeah.
there's got to be some other like found footage like films, like there's got to be more like people who have done that, but they did it on film, like this movie purporting this person did. This is all fictional, but imagine if
Yeah.
you find someone's storage unit and they have a bunch of films from when they were like 23, and they filmed their daily life and talked about things and showed them a mundaneness of their existence back then and some exciting things, and what like that's what this feels like. It feels like you could easily find this in your Uncle Paul fucking recorded videos in the 70s on this little 8mm camera or whatever. Like this is
Yeah.
visceral, and there's a moment here at the end that like you're really concerned. It's like things are getting a little scarier, and this movie's always towing the line between reality and fantasy. And there's even a part where they literally talk to a prostitute, a woman who I allegedly is a prostitute. I should not. I would assume is a prostitute by the way she talks about what she'd do for money. But she's very candidly talking to the film crew, and it's 1,000%. There's no way that is a scripted event. That feels so fucking real and authentic. That person most definitely did not sign a waiver.
Yeah.
I feel like
Half the time in that fucking shot, she was literally trying to get this guy
the director
like, yeah, to go with him.
to
Like
go. Yeah.
she's trying to sell.
Now I would no joke. I would be fucking riveted to a documentary about that woman's life. Even if it was like a mini Vice doc that's 5 minutes long. I just need to know.
You know how like certain people have such extreme fucking characters that
Charisma.
are extremely out there.
Yeah.
Within like documentary and mockumentary films, she kind of in that way she kind of reminds me of Zebra Man.
Yes, I was gonna say it's like the same energy as Heavy Metal Parking Lot. It's like the bunk ship belongs on Mars, man. That guy, like I love Zebra Man.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Favorite character in Heavy Metal Parking Lot is Zebra Man forever.
Yeah.
Forever. For a million years.
On
my deathbed. It'll be fucking Grandpa from American Movie, which is finally getting a Blu-ray. It'll be Grandpa going, "It's all right. It's okay."
There's something to live for.
Right? And Zebra Man, "Punk belongs on Mars, man!" Like right next to each other, and they're both in the parking lot for some reason. Like that's what's gonna happen in my fucking brain. And then fucking Spinal Tap, whatever the character in Spinal Tap gets stuck in the pod. That's that scene. I just recently watched that with somebody. I don't remember who. Apologies. But I watched that recently, and that fucking scene kills me. Like that is such a fucking me moment. Like, why is mine the one that breaks? Why? You know? Like it's such a whiny energy like moment, and I'm like, yes, that's my kinship right there. That fucking scene. So I'll be on my deathbed, Zebra Man, Grandpa, and just over here fucking Ian struggling in a goddamn pea pod trying to break out while fucking I don't know other shit's happening. fucking stunts. I've always there's a bunch of stunts from like various movies that just live in my brain. That shit'll just be all happening simultaneously. There'll be lightning bolts, fucking fireworks. My loved ones are all just standing around with all this chaos, and then I'll be dead.
Yeah.
There you go. This fucking movie, David Holtzman's Diary, was genuinely like creepy. And it feels so authentic. It feels so authentic. And then getting those moments with those authentic people in the street in the actual contemporary New York at the time, 67, 66, whenever it was shot. That's incredible. It's fucking incredible. I bought that on Blu-ray, by the way.
You get to see parts of New York that
don't exist.
Like don't exist anymore. Yeah, they've completely changed because of Rudy Giuliani and whatnot. The changes that were made in New York in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible.
It's like a time capsule in that way. And
Literally.
then in another way, it kind of reminds me of the Maniac, the Elijah Wood Maniac, the remake of reboot, I guess I would say.
It's a remake. It's just done for per person.
It's different.
It's a little different. Oh
I
yeah,
like
it's
just that whole aspect of like, there's something about this guy who you're seeing pretty much like a firsthand footage of, there's something about him that's a little bit off. That's a little bit creepy.
Right.
Even at the beginning, they set it up where like he's recording this woman from the street in her apartment on the second floor or whatever.
And she's like,
and he's out there recording her. Well, yeah. And then it immediately goes from that to him in his room, and he's surrounded by all these pictures of a woman, and it says, "This is my girlfriend." And it's really fucking creepy.
Yeah, and she is his girlfriend, but they had this weird fucking energy relationship where she just like doesn't know how to say I won't want to talk to you ever again. Is afraid to, perhaps.
There's something about this guy that's very off-putting, and I just think it's so interesting that this really early mockumentary, I feel like if it's not inspiring, if it didn't inspire the found footage horror films, there are definitely elements of it that like feel like a found footage horror film in a way.
I mean, it is technically a found footage horror film. It's a psychological horror.
Yeah.
It's showing us a dark, twisted human as he's slowly descending to madness through his own eyes, through the things he deems are important, right?
Yeah.
Because he only has so much film, so he has to film, and he's making this movie, his diary of some sort, and he's audio recording it, and he's doing narration for it, and he's filming things with and without sync sound, and like, there's that fucking. I can't wait to get the Blu-ray. Put it in here. And I want to watch all the special features. I want to watch it again with a fucking commentary. I mean, like, I am like, ooh, I want to dive into this. I need to know more about this movie. I'm fucking hooked. I'm hooked. It's an early found footage film. It's like the third found footage film ever or some shit. Something along those lines.
I give it 2 thumbs up.
2 huge mega thumbs up. Same with Punishment Park. Those are like both 2 huge mega thumbs up. Highest recommendations. They're both on my found footage favorites list on Letterboxd. We're on to Gonjiam Haunted Asylum.
Oh, that was a great found footage film.
Yes.
A more modern one.
It felt very. He was very close to Grave Encounters at the beginning. So it starts off in a very similar space, and they both veer off in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the South Korean film, and holy shit, this creeped the fuck out of me. This was super creepy. I literally was like, running across the hallway, which is in darkness, because I was just like creeped out. I was like, I paranoid from the weed. The movie was fucking with me. So that was it. I was like, no, I can't.
There are elements of this film that remind me of a lot of the more modern YouTube channels that are
Yes.
doing like haunted stuff like that. Or
Like people go to the
ghost
abandoned
hunt
buildings and
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All those things. Yeah.
So, and it's a lot of them have become like big production kind of stuff. Like not that they're necessarily spending a lot of money to make the movies, but that they are giving the videos. I mean, they're giving the videos more of that feel of a big budget kind of a production. You know, they want it to look like it's big budget production, which is odd to me because it's like, if you want people to believe that what you're seeing and experiencing is real, then why would you go with this like, fancy effects kind of stuff? It doesn't make any damn sense to me.
Yeah.
But like, there are elements of that in this, where they're like, clearly they're trying to make money. They're concerned about the ad money, and that's what drives them to do this, because they're all in a group together doing this video project, and they want to get to
Doing a live
a
stream, I think.
million. Yeah, live stream. They want to get to a million viewers or whatever, so that they can get like the full ad dollars or whatever
Right.
they were gonna
I
get.
think they had a contract. If they got to 1 million views, they got like money, a payout or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Some
It's
the
not
sponsorship.
explicitly, yeah, they don't explicitly come out and say
Exactly.
that, but
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I like it. Is like, you just got to put the puzzle pieces
It starts
together.
slowly and gives you little pieces until you put them
Yeah,
together, right? And
yeah.
that's what we're assuming because it never, like I said, explicitly says.
Hmm.
That's the vibe I got from it. So
But yeah, in terms of found footage, if it's kind of playing on stuff like that, it reminds me of Grave Encounters, the first one.
like I said, yeah,
Um, and it really works on that level.
it plays with
I
darkness
mean,
in a different way though. And I like
yeah,
how
yeah.
this one is
This
well creepy. Or I had to say I like Grave Encounters, but the Gonjiam is like so fucking creepy. I don't think I could watch that again in the darkness. I think you have to watch
the
that during the
South
day.
Korean horror elements are in full play. That's the big
Oh
difference
yeah.
between this and something like Grave Encounters, is that it's like you can tell the difference in culture immediately.
Hmm.
So, yeah, there are certain things that happen in this, you know, scary found footage movie that would not happen if they probably wouldn't have those elements in the movie if it were remade here. Please don't remake it. It's perfect as it is. I love it.
Yes, I think it's
And
actually
it's
getting remade, but that's the way it goes,
no,
unfortunately.
God.
But who knows? It may never happen. Also, if they remake it, they could just brand it Grave Encounters 3 and bam. And then they can cross
Yes,
the streams and they're the
yes.
same universe now. Maybe they are the same universe or something saying they aren't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thumbs up for me. Single thumbs up.
Yes, thumbs up.
I mean, wrong button. Also on found footage favorites. Um, I just yeah, one thumbs up. It's like almost two thumbs. Almost. You might be wondering, why are we watching all these found footage films recently? Well, we watched this movie called The Found Footage Phenomena,
Hmm.
which is it's basically a primer and a history of most of the found footage film, like the history of found footage. It leaves out Punishment Park. It leaves out Boggy Creek. It does talk about Cannibal Holocaust, which is another early found footage film. And it never mentions the connection, which I think is the most grievous error of the entire movie. So it doesn't mention the connection at all, which is, as far as I can tell, the first found footage film, where from beginning to end it's found footage with the premise that a director found this footage, edited it together, and released it. So that's literally the beginning of that. I feel like I don't think I've seen anything before that.
Yeah, they focus way more on like the horror aspect of the genre. At least.
Yeah, I know they do, but I feel like they do a disservice by not at least mentioning that film, but
Yeah.
even in passing, they didn't have to show anything. So I'm gonna say like someone could just mention it and then mention David Holtzman's diary, which they do show clips from, which is what led me to choose it sooner than normal, only because that looked really good and hey, guess what? It's really good. So, but yeah, I feel like they do a disservice by not at least mentioning that in Punishment Park exists, especially Punishment Park, which is very closely horror related. It's very close. He's close to a horror film. It's definitely a political statement, but there's some really horrific things that happen in it,
Yeah,
and it's shot in a very
disturbing.
realistic way. So it is a horror film, but slightly, which is why I'm assuming they also left it off. There's a few other films they left off, but I haven't seen them, so maybe those movies aren't that important. But the ones I mentioned, The Connection, Dave Holtzman's Diary, Punishment Park, all top shelf. Everyone should fucking add them if you're fans of found footage and mockumentaries. Bam. That's that. This documentary is very good. I'm not going to talk shit about this at all, because I actually think it was really well done. And if you're only ever dipped your toes in the genre, this is going to open up a whole fucking world for you. If you're really asshole deep in the genre, you might find maybe one or two movies that you haven't seen. Me, I'm a big fan of it, a connoisseur, but I haven't seen everything, and so I found about 10 movies I could add that me and Justin hadn't seen yet. So, hey, it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, so because of that, because it's like revealing all these movies that we didn't know about yet, I felt like I was glad we watched that, and it wasn't too bad after all.
No.
And because of that, I was like, you know what? It's for us. I think it's better than In Search of Darkness. Again, not to say that In Search of Darkness was bad or there was
No, it
something
just
wrong
wasn't
with it.
for us at all.
But like, yeah, we've seen enough horror movies that it was like we've seen almost all these movies that they're talking about in Search of in Search of Darkness.
Yeah,
right?
and almost all the stuff they're talking about is they've talked about in other interviews, and it's like it's not like
They
it's
cover the heavy
what it
hitters
makes
and
good
found
is
footage phenomenon too,
it
but
also makes good background footage, because you can just be like doing your own thing and stop and watch the segment on a movie that you liked and go back to work. Like it's the perfect kind of movie that you just put it on and play. It's great for a party. You just pop that shit on, hang out. People stop and watch segments and talk about the movies, and you know.
Mhm.
You're a fucking nerd like me. Why did I literally just anyway. So yeah, I give that a thumbs up. I think it is a worthwhile endeavor for everyone to at least see, because it does talk about early found footage films. It talks about like the roots in the Mondo film, because like it starts in the Mondo cinema. Cannibal Holocaust was trying to relate itself to the Mondo cinema by saying a Mondo crew. This is a Mondo crew going into Africa, the Amazon, excuse me, and like this is what happened to their stuff, to them. And so it spun out of Mondo films. They talk about Mondo films, and then they talk about Cannibal Holocaust, and then they start talking about the history of horror or found footage, and they talk about the stuff like the fucking Ghost Watch and the McPherson tape and Poughkeepsie tapes and Blair Witch, of course, and Last Broadcast, and all the big ones. They talk about all those for sure. So your favorite is probably represented. They talk about Paranormal Activity too, I think, also. Anyway, I give this big fat single thumbs up. Very good.
Yes.
Very informative. Highly recommend.
Worth your time.
Worth your time. Yes. A good thing to watch to end the night off. Our night will end off with a discussion about Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh.
And some multiverse stuff.
Yes, multiverse. Because we actually watched. Didn't we watch Doctor Strange first?
Yep, we watched it right after Prey, actually. That was
Yeah.
an interesting night of movies.
So
We did Gonjiam, Prey, Doctor Strange, Punishment Park. That was that night of movies. That was a great fucking night.
yeah. There's, it's not to say I don't want to say anything that negative about Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, but I will say that there is, in terms of like movies that deal with the multiverse, there is something nice about Everything Everywhere All at Once being fairly original compared to
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, which is, it's original in that it's
It's playing on the
dealing with,
tropes instead.
yeah, it's playing more
different.
on tropes instead.
It's
Yeah.
different. Like the way they play on
So,
the different ends of the tropes. One is more of like a playful, like winksy. It's that trope. It's that trope. That's
it's
Multiverse
also one of
Madness.
these, it's like a fucking big Hollywood production, and the other one is a Hollywood production, I think, but it's like a
Way
not
more
as big
indie.
a
It's way
production. Yeah.
more. Yeah.
It's like the difference between a $30 million film and a $400 million film. It's a huge fucking difference.
A24 did it, so it's
Yeah,
technically independent. A24 is like a mid-level.
yeah.
I would
Like
say.
like I said, like 30 million is probably what the budget was, something like that. I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
probably. I don't know. I can go look out of curiosity.
But it's that kind of thing. It's the difference between all the budgets are getting higher because cost of everything is getting higher.
Probably
So
60 million. Probably then.
yeah, what would have been considered the 250 or $300 million year like
Oh
5 or 6
shit!
years
You
ago.
nailed it.
Now
It's actually
400.
cost 25 million. You've
There you
actually
go.
nailed it the first time. Like pretty much, being 5 million off, pretty good considering how varied that could have been.
But yeah, there's something special about a movie that like can take the concept of multiverse and make something incredibly unique and original with it, as opposed to something like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which is playing more on tropes and it's more of a like a safe bet kind of a
It's
thing.
pandering to the audience.
Yes,
Meanwhile,
exactly.
everything
So
everywhere all at once is trying to flex its muscles and do something different
yes,
with the concept.
yeah.
And the science behind it is like it's all pseudoscience, of course, 'cause it's like not real, but it feels believable, and
Um,
you know.
yeah.
Meanwhile, Multiverse of Madness feels mystical in origin, the multiverse travel, the you know, so
Mhm.
but I do like as much as I'm saying that sound like I'm saying negative things about Multiverse of Madness. I actually think it's one of the better Marvel movies. I gave it an
I
8
like
out of
it.
10. That's two
I
thumbs
think
up
it's pretty
territory.
good.
Everything,
People
everywhere, all
will.
that. Sorry, go ahead.
I've seen people bitching about the third eye thing. It's just like, oh my god, shut up. Who fucking
It
cares? Like,
happens in the comics. Deal with it, nerds. Like it's happened in
yeah.
the comics. Deal with it. Like
Hmm. So, but no, I like how uh, I feel like the way that Doctor Strange deals with it reminds me more of something like the Golden Child, or that kind of movie that came out in like the 80s and 90s where they were, uh, you know, trying to tell a story from a more, I don't know, Asian perspective. But now you watch it and there are elements of that feel kind of cringy, you
yeah,
know?
that was fucking cringy. Jesus.
Yes, that well, how am I supposed to describe cringe without the
I There
cringe?
probably is a better way
You
to do
know?
that, but yes, it's appropriating their culture in a negative way,
Yes,
in a not good way,
yes. And
in a
and I don't think
mocking
they
way a
go
lot of times, which really
I don't
upset
think they
me.
go too far with that in Doctor Strange, but it just it feels like that in some ways.
Yeah, I mean,
It
yeah.
has that feel, that kind of a movie. I don't know what it is about it, but it has that feel to it. Um, and honestly, ultimately, I wasn't as interested or impressed or surprised by the concepts of the multiverse in Doctor Strange as I was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I think part of that was also because they set
Yeah,
Multiverse of Madness up so much with the previous movies.
in series.
And it's like
Because
that you're like, oh, I know exactly what, you know.
they talk about there's multiverse stuff in Loki and Scarlet Witch and like all this other stuff. There's all these like multiverse things, and so
So
like
it
we
doesn't
already
feel as unique as it probably
yeah.
should.
I feel like
It's
it's
just like,
yeah. I feel like that's right. It doesn't. That's the thing is it doesn't stray farther than the bounds set by pop. It doesn't like do anything interesting. It's not like
yeah.
everything everywhere all at once, where it literally is doing some wild ass shit on screen for the first time ever, and it might be inspired by a book or and something's inspired by everything. Okay, so like,
Yeah, yeah.
but like, I the way they're using it, I've never seen in a movie. I think the closest thing I could ever get close is like Sliders. I think Sliders is the closest thing that relates to this movie when it comes to like other films like that in the genre, the time travel and between
I
the time
can
travel and
kind of
alternate
see
universe
that.
genres, which are interlinked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah.
Also, this is one
This
of the
one feels a lot
this
more wacky, but
this
yes,
is one of the films that canonically takes place in Simi Valley.
I love it every time we come across a movie. You're just like, oh my god! Every time they mention Simi Valley.
Yeah. Well, duh. It's my
It
project on
excites
Letterboxd right
you.
now.
It's your project, yeah.
Let's see
So
here. What? Now, how many movies is that? This is the sixth film. So we've got Joe Dirt, Invitation to Hell, Species, Big Lebowski. Day Shift is also in Simi Valley. We mentioned that. They literally put the Simi Valley underneath as like a location, and you see a mention on the news that there's a high-speed chase in Simi Valley, and that's them driving around, even though physically they're not actually in Simi Valley. There's someone else everywhere else in the valley. So there's that. Day Shift, Big Lebowski, everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once. So 6 movies so far in the Simi Valley canon, cinematic canon. I don't know why I'm obsessed with my old hometown, but there we are. I'm obsessed with really because my favorite part is that almost every depiction of Simi Valley in movies is for comedic effect, and that shit makes me happy.
you know why? Also, it's probably because you developed a lot of core memories while living
Probably
in Simi Valley.
not
And
all of them good.
not all of them good, but you know, I don't know what it is about the human brain always like wanting to reminisce about memories, about the core memories, right? And I think that's probably what makes it so difficult for some people who have very terrible core memories uh, to to deal with them is because like there's something in the human brain that like makes you reminisce about something. And there are some things you don't want to reminisce about, but your brain still brings it up because it's like naturally driven to for some fucking reason.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways,
but yeah, I mean, this is like I like multiverse stories actually quite a bit, and I like that everything everywhere all at once is flexing muscles that probably have been flexed literally because there's literally hundreds of novels at this point in the genre. You know, thousands of probably closer to like tens of
yeah.
thousands. You know, so like there's a lot of different directions you can go,
And there are
and
things we're still learning about it too. You know,
oh
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
because it's a pseudoscience. It's not like a definitive science yet. It could be maybe someday, but
yeah, we don't
for
know.
now, it's just a cool idea.
I mean, like, yeah. So the it's interesting that the way it's playing with it, the way like you have to do something absurd to jump into another universe from where you are, and they jump into like some really ridiculously absurd
Yeah,
universes.
yeah.
The
It kind of
fucking hot
reminds me
dog fingers
hot
universe is
dog
in the trailer.
fingers, my favorite
It's
one.
so fucking. My favorite part is they're in that universe and there's not a single thing designed differently. So it's
Yes.
literally just a hellscape of people not being able to drive or open doors or fucking do fucking normal things so they don't have hands. They have fucking hot dogs instead. Like,
Yes. It's
what?
glorious.
There's like some real dark thoughts that bubble up from that fucking universe. Okay, is it
Well, that's the
like
thing. It reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons, the Halloween episode, where he um, turns his toaster into a time machine,
mhm.
and he ends up going back in time, like to the dawn of time, and like sitting on a fucking. Uh, he sits on a butterfly, and that causes. It's more talking about butterfly effect, but like every time he comes back from the past, it's like a completely different universe. But same family, same house and everything, but it's a completely different universe.
Dude, I have a
So
stabbing tit right now. Sorry, chat. I'm
so
getting a
that's
stabbing pain.
okay. So that's what this movie kind of reminds me of. It's like talking about all these different universes and showing you all these different universes that could exist. Um, and some of them are utterly ridiculous, and then others look almost the same, but there's one little thing different, kind of like in Simpsons episode where everything looks almost exactly the same, but it rains donuts.
Like there's clearly a pop culture zeitgeist linear like line from like traditional times travel stories all the way up to Rick and Morty, which is also in a similar way of doing like or similar absurd alternate universes in a different direction, but and they also the way they travel completely different. Like everything else is different, but the idea that these absurd worlds can exist, I feel like that became like more prominent in the zeitgeist after Rick and Morty, right? Like
Mhm.
I like Rick and Morty a lot, but the fan base makes me real turned off on on like engaging in publicly about my fandom. I just have no interest. Like I just watch my show and
Yeah,
enjoy my little show, talk about it on my podcast someday maybe. Cause guess what, folks? We're at the end of this podcast, and we're only 2 episodes away from the finishing Twin Peaks completely. And then we get to talk about how we don't remember fucking shit from it.
we're gonna do the Twin Peaks episode.
Maybe. Don't promise. We're gonna talk about Twin Peaks on an episode for sure. We'll see how much I fucking remember. Also, good news is my Polykills also watching it. They've watched like 6 episodes so far, which means I get to hop back in and look through some new eyes. So that'd be kind of cool, knowing how everything ends. So I'll be like you, but on my Metamore Kara, she like it's her favorite. It's her favorite show ever. So
Mhm.
it'll be good to talk with her as I go through that time, having seen the whole thing. Oh, you should see it, Worm Deceased. It's so fucking good. Everything about Twin Peaks is great, except for those two plot lines: the super strength one and the I'm gonna wash this rich lady's car and fuck her for
Yeah,
7
James.
episodes.
Yeah,
What's his face?
fucking James.
James. That fucking storyline is dog shit.
Just you and
I've seen just one of
me.
the guys back when I was in high school on HBO a lot actually. It's a good movie. However, I imagine given proper understanding of gender things now and the way things are handled, I imagine it does not hold up. I need to rewatch it since I haven't seen it since the 90s. But yeah, it's about a girl who dresses up as a guy and pretends to be a guy and there's a whole guy experience at high school.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder how many trans people realized something about themselves when they
I don't
watched.
know, but a whole lot of us watched things like that and watched movies
It's
containing
interesting.
drag because that was like a lot of times that was our only connection point to understanding,
Yeah,
you know,
the shitty thing is that like
something to build up to.
a lot of the pop culture examples of being trans from like in the 80s
Not
and
even
90s
trans.
were not even trans one, or they were just extremely negative depictions.
Well, the problem
And
is like also
so that's how people are discovering themselves. Is with these fucking terrible like Maury Povich shows where he's bringing them on like fucking
Povich?
circus freaks. Yeah, Povich. It's just, eh.
I
You think
I
back
mean,
to that,
that's the
like,
thing is, like,
oh
when I was a kid,
no.
no kidding, Jerry Springer, Mary Povich, those things is actually the first time I saw trans people ever, because they put real trans people on TV.
Yeah, that's the
Now
thing.
they treated them like
Uh,
circus freaks,
yes,
right? Right. So obviously there's exploitation there. There's also a
yes,
nuanced discussion about how society cheers cis men who are quote unquote brave enough to dress up in women's clothing in public, and then those same people look down on trans women who dress
yeah,
in the frame clothing that matches their identity, right? And like, and they don't understand the fucking. There's a disconnect there, and they don't get it. They can't make that leap. They're not smart. They're not imaginative enough. Not smart. They're not imaginative enough.
yeah.
So like, there is a much more nuanced, deep discussion about drag that I am not prepared to get into.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not prepared, nor am I capable of having a nuanced discussion about it. I'll be straight up. Okay, because for a long time that was the only thing I thought I had. So like, there's a connection to me with drag that's not the same as some trans people who view it negatively, which is their right. So I don't know. And every
Yeah.
trans person's different.
Well, yes.
So yeah.
Shocker, they're all people.
Oh,
You know, they're
fuck!
not a hive
Really?
mind.
No way. They're all people. Fuck! I can't believe it. Trans people are people. They're people.
No,
What?
of
No.
course.
But yeah, like that's the thing. So like, there's a lot to be said about negative, ignorant depictions of trans people in the past.
Yeah, but how they, for some,
Also can
because there was
inspire.
nothing else that inspired. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So it's
that's what I was trying to say. Somebody,
so
I
yeah.
fucking was talking about like trans depiction in film, and I mentioned the Ballad of Little Joe, and they're like, "Well, that was just a woman pretending to be a man. That
Well,
wasn't a trans like." But you can't. It's like, can't you see how a trans person might watch that and be like,
yeah, exactly.
seen in a way?
Exactly. Exactly. It might be problematic, but you also might see yourself in it to some degree.
Yeah,
And so, like, you're allowed to like problematic things. You can have problematic favorites. It's okay.
yeah.
You know, it's okay. You might be like, someone might confront you about a problematic status, and you go,
Not
yes,
ideal, but
I
it's like,
agree. I agree.
yeah.
It is a problematic movie.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And we could talk
You know,
about all the problems with that movie.
right.
And
But
also,
as,
but
but as
at the
a,
same time, you're also going to talk about how, if it has any other meaning to you, you're going to talk about that.
yeah,
So
and that in that way, problematic things also have value. Unfortunately, a lot of times, also as education tools of how not to act in public.
and how we can do better than this. We can do much
Exactly,
better than this.
exactly. It can be used as a teaching aid too. So
Yeah.
like problematic art should exist. It allows us to have these complex, nuanced discussions in appropriate forums for those things. You know,
Yes.
it gives us context from which to extrapolate from, and all this other stuff. So it's like, yeah. Anyway, I think that'll do it for this week.
Yeah.
If you have any final words,
Um. Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
good night, nerds.